What's up, YouTube? I'm Trent Wel-Don. Welcome back to the channel, Wel-Don Aquatics. Guys, it is time I give you an update of what I've been up to down here for the new Nook, so stand by. Alright guys, so I owe you an apology. I missed last week's video, a series of unfortunate events. So first thing is, I had a lot of this already filmed. I had the setup of this tank filmed. I had probably 4 videos made, and the files got corrupted somehow through the iCloud. I wasn't able to use them anymore. So that's why I had to refilm this, but it gives me an opportunity to kind of show you more of what I've done. So instead of making it, 3 separate videos, we could actually just kind of make one maybe a little longer video, kind of show you what I've been up to here down here. The other thing is I also got a cold, still getting over that, so you get to deal with my raspy man voice. Anyways, enough of me. Let's get started because I know you're interested in what's behind me versus actually what's going on with me. So we'll flip the camera around here. As you can see, we've been busy. We got a few things done. So first things first, kind of elephant in the room. I did get the 33 long set up, and this is actually part of the footage that I lost. I had video of me scaping this, talking about everything. We'll come back to this later. The lights are off right now. It is late. I am battling massive amounts of hair algae and that. So that's fun. That's fun trying to, really figure out the balance of light, nutrients, CO2, all that things. That's a new challenge for me to say. We'll come back to this in a later video because I want to do a more in-depth, real walkthrough of that. But let's keep going here. So first thing first, well, we talk first. That says first thing first. All right, guys, you can see we've got some pipe along the wall. I know some of the stands are in the way, and I had all this filmed before everything was in, but we're going to do our best here. So I got the airline ran all the way around here. So this is going to be a closed loop. And I did run it down here and back behind the tank here. That's this right here. This is not up and running just yet. I do have the pump hooked up to it, but this is what's gonna run. The 33 long here. It's gonna run the 240s underneath. I may run some air to the 125. But so what we did here is this is actually a 1.5 inch pipe. I did change it from 1 inch to 1.5. I hope it works. I'll explain a little later. But these are a self-tapping valve from Gemco. Very, very easy to use. Gemco was phenomenal in helping me design my system, figure out the pump I needed. Super simple. You drill a hole in the pipe, you actually hook this into your drill and screw it in, then hand tighten it down. It's very simple. It's supposed to give me control over all the valve as the pump is going to pressurize that entire air system around. The other thing that I did get completed was the drain line. So what this allows me to do, I have it running along the perimeter here on a slight angle. That is this second pipe underneath here. What that is going to allow me to do is when I do water changes, let's say for example on the 240s are going to be underneath here, I will run the siphon from this tank over to there and it will drain water. It runs through my wall over to my drain. We'll walk back behind this and I'll explain everything going on behind this wall. As you know, previously we talked about how I added some holes for the air system and the drain lines we saw here. We'll talk about that more as we move back. Now the other thing is I got most of the stands done. So I still have to bring a few of them down, but this kind of gives you a picture of what I was talking about. So we have the 125 gallon up top. I'm gonna have 2 40 breeders underneath here. So this is going to house my Fahaka puffer. I'm going to have my orange abaya puffer down here, and actually some other fish I actually have not shown yet. So that is coming. I'll talk more of that as we keep going here. So the 125, I drilled this previously. So we have a bulkhead up here in the top right-hand corner. Doing some water testing down here, but also what I did is, so since that is drilled, I ran this tubing down, so that's connected up to the 125 that drains down. That makes water changes really easy. Drop a hose in. We'll talk more about that. What I did here is this is all pool filtration sand. I personally really like using this sand as a substrate. I like the color of it. I like the texture of it. I like the consistency of it. So this is 100 pounds of pool filtration sand. Now I can find this local for about $10 to $12 per 50-pound bag. It's not the cheapest sand out there. It's not the most expensive sand out there. Some areas I know you think you guys can find this sand for like $4 a bag. So what I did is that this sand actually comes in pretty dusty. So it was nice. I dumped the sand in because I have it drilled up here and I wanted to test my drain line. I decided to wash all this sand right in this tank. So instead of washing it out like a 5-gallon bucket and then dumping it in, just dumped all the sand in here and I just continually ran water and let it overflow through here as I got everything done and going there. So that, excuse me. So that worked out well. So we have this up and running. What else? So yes, we're going to run the 240s down here. That stand is all working really well. This 125 will be running off the FX6 filter. And I plan on doing videos to talk about each tank as I progress with it and set it up and get it going, get the fish in, get the filtration going. So that is all coming. That is all coming, I promise. But that's kind of the Nook right now. We'll back up a little bit, kind of give you a better shot. So again, we have the 33 long over here up and running. We'll talk more about that later. I want to do a full video of the stocking, what plans I have for it, the hardscape, the plants, the equipment, all that fun stuff. And while we're doing this update, so as you can probably see behind me, my basement's still a mess. We're almost done finishing everything down here. The bathroom's the last thing that needs to be done. I've got fish supplies scattered all over here, but we need to talk about a change that I have made to the Nook. So previously, we talked about, when I talked about this, we were gonna have 75-gallon, 33 long, 125, 40, double stacked 40s, and then a tank that I wasn't revealing yet. So what's going to happen now is right here is no longer going to be a 75-gallon. We've got a new tank coming down here that's going to be, we'll say, replacing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one 40-gallon breeder right in this section. It'll actually fit really well right here. I'd already had measured this out for a 4-foot distance for that 75-gallon tank. So the 3-foot 40 breeder will fit really well. There's no longer going to be two 40 breeders stacked right here. And I'll tell you now that the mystery tank that was going to go here will be here by itself. It is going to be a 20 long. And I'm taking the plunge. We're doing saltwater. Oh my gosh, we're going to do saltwater. That's right. That 20 long that we're going to set up right here, this 20 long is going to be a small saltwater tank. I know everyone's going to argue with me like, oh, you got to go bigger. It's going to be so much easier. I'm going to try it. I have some ideas, some things I've seen online I really want to try. So that's what's going to happen right here. Is we're going to have one 20-gallon long saltwater setup. I'm really excited about that one. So let's go back behind this wall to talk about everything else back here. And you always have to stay tuned for what tank is replacing the one where the 75 was going to go. But let's go talk about this. All right, guys, so we're back. It's gonna be really echoey in here. I'm gonna talk a little quieter. So we're back in kind of my storage room area. So that wall directly back here is into the fish nook. So I'm gonna talk about everything I have going on back here. It's still a work in progress, so stay with me, but let's get started. So you can see I've got one of the stands back here, then all my standing back here. So it's kind of nice having this storage room area as we knew that this concrete floor was just gonna remain concrete. I got permission from the wife to come do some arts and crafts back here. So let's talk here. This is where the airline comes out. So I was originally gonna run all 1-inch pipe up around for my closed loop, but I wanted, excuse me, sorry, that cold's still getting to me and I'm short of breath right now. I really wanted black PVC pipe up around. So we did a 1-inch transition to 1.5 inch, brought it over here. I do have some plans to tap into this more, as I'm gonna set up some tanks right here. Right now I'm thinking I'm gonna have one 55-gallon below it, maybe two 20s up top. That's gonna be like my large quarantine system area. But running the air system, this is a Gemco linear piston air pump. I think it's the LP45, I wanna say. Not the cheapest pump on the market, but guys, for the money, you cannot go wrong. I have did my research on these. This is possibly the best air pump that you could possibly get for your money. Highly recommend this. Excuse me. I did upgrade, as when I bought this particular model was on sale for the same price as the pump I was going to get. So it's a little larger than probably what I need to run all my tanks. But what's amazing about this is this can run up to probably, I think they say like 45 outlets. This pump is quieter than the pump that I have running upstairs right now, running the sponge filters in my current fish room. It's a larger pump, incredibly quiet. I highly recommend these. So I just built this simple 2x4 platform with some plywood, set this up here, and that way so that's gonna pump in and pressurize that whole air system. Now the other hole in the wall is for the drain line. So that's where that comes through. So every time I siphon or do water changes, all I have to do is drain it right to here. It's gonna run along the floor here, so it does transition from a 2-inch PVC down to a 1-inch, comes along the wall and right into my floor drain. We'll talk about this little section back there later, but not right now. So some of you are probably asking, you know, that floor drain, there's no way it can handle that. Actually, it can. I was down here, sorry guys, still sick, so I'm really short of breath. That floor drain, yeah, so I was down here and I was rinsing out all the sand in the 125. It worked really, really, really well. So I'm very pleased with that. But let's talk about kind of the, next to the air system, the life of this system. Excuse my messy paint job. We just did a quick coat of paint back in here as we had all the walls primed and we were low on paint. But anyways, enough of that. So here, when we did my basement, when I was finishing this out, I had my father-in-law tap into my water lines and particularly run in a water valve for me. I wanted a valve down here that I can run water changes with and everything back here and have a central system. So what I did, is this is a cheap valve on Amazon. I can actually link it down in the description below. I can mix the hot and cold here. So let me kind of explain what I've got going here. It looks a little crazy. So first off is I branch down from the bottom. So this is like a valve you would normally use like a shower, where you have like your tub here, you pop the button and the shower here. So ran it down, put a ball valve. I have a ball valve on top and bottom. That way I can shut off what side I'm not going to be using at any time. Now from there, I just got this simple hose connection that branches off into a Y. I can shut water off to both sides here. The first side here running to the small hose is going to be when I do water changes back here in my quarantine system, maybe some grow out, some breeding projects. And then on the next side, I ran it to, this is 100 feet of this light duty hose. That way, I was originally planning on running the hose, through the hole, but I miscalculated on my room, so I got 100 feet that I can run out and around up into the tanks. Much, much cheaper than like a python you're gonna buy. Like a 100-foot python is probably gonna cost you like 80 bucks. This is $20 worth of hose, super cheap, super simple, does the same thing. Now when we branch off here, this empty slot here, like I said, I'm gonna be doing salt water later on. I have an RO unit that I'm gonna connect here, and that way I can drop down the wastewater line right into this. I do have a T back there for water changes I can dump a hose into. So that's coming, I haven't set that up yet, but this part here running off, this is going to be for a drip system that I have planned for the 125 gallon tank, and then the tank that I have not shown you yet that is replacing that 75. I know I'm throwing out a lot of numbers, a lot of things right now, and this will all make sense in the end, I promise. So this is just a simple house filtration unit. This has a carbon block inside of here. So I do have to treat my water for the chlorine, and if you run it through a carbon block at a slow rate, it's going to remove all of that chlorine. So I'm not worried about that there. This is like 20 bucks from Home Depot, super simple to set up. So when it runs through, water's gonna run through here, then it's gonna tee off here. Now this, gosh guys, I fought this. I was back here, like I had it turned the other way, and I was like, oh man, I gotta cut this pipe just right to make this fit against the wall. And all of a sudden I realized, oh, if I just turn it this way, I don't have to worry about that. So what's gonna happen here? Water's gonna flow through, hit this carbon block, get filtered of all the chloramine out of here, take out some of the detritus, all the dirt, whatever else is coming through, branch off here, and it's going to run into 2 pressure reducers. So these are 2 25 psi pressure reducers. So what that does is, with the water coming through here, it's going to be too much to handle, or too much for this little, this is just airline, 1/4 inch silicone airline. It would just blow right off. So with that pressure reducer, I'm dropping the pressure down that this can handle this. This is just a 3/4 inch screw-on barbed adapter. Super simple. Found these on Amazon for a couple bucks. I can link this in the description below. 1/4 inch airline. So this isn't fully completed yet, but what's going to happen is when this is on, this is going to continually flow fresh water to my 125, and then it's going to flow to the other tank, which I haven't shown you yet. You gotta stay for a later video, but that's going to allow me to keep a much steadier water parameters. And we'll talk more about all this as we get this up and running. As I say, this is still working on all the plumbing back here, but this is just a nice, easy, quick update for you. All right, guys, there you have it. There is an update of the new fish Nook and what I've been up to. So stay tuned for the future videos I've got coming out. Like I say, we're gonna run through all these tanks as I set all these up. I got the saltwater tank coming. We're gonna run you through the 33 long. We're gonna talk about the tank. We were gonna do a 75 here, we're now doing a 40 breeder. I've got a tank around this corner that we're gonna talk about later. So if any of this interests you, if you wanna see the progression of this, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you guys next time.